On Sunday, May 18, 1980, Mount St. Helens in the Cascade Mountains in Washington exploded. The eruption triggered a series of landslides, including a stratospheric plume cloud of ash, tons and tons of pyroclastic debris, and the landslide on the northern flank of the volcano, exposing the volcano's magma chamber and sending much more debris downslope at speeds of nearly 700 miles an hour. It was one of the worst volcanic eruptions in U.S. history. However, are there more dangerous volcanoes in the U.S. and around the world? Let's find out. Volcanoes are a natural force. Geologically, they are caused by moving tectonic plates generating convection or heat from the Earth's interior. Magma is molten rock inside the Earth, while lava is molten rock outside exposed to air or water. Both do solidify into igneous rock, with magma solidifying into what's known as intrusive igneous rock, and lava solidifying into what's known as extrusive igneous rock. In areas that are still tectonically active, such as near plate boundaries, volcanoes erupt from time to time. There are three main areas where volcanoes form, with the first being hotspots, the second being divergent plate boundaries, and the third being convergent plate boundaries. First, let's start with hotspots. Hotspots are distinct from the latter two, as these types of volcanoes are separate from plate boundaries. Mantle plumes below hotspots are what cause these types of volcanoes, and that is a column of hot rock originating in the mantle nearly 2,000 miles below the surface. The types of volcanoes created from mantle plumes are usually shield volcanoes, which are broad and shaped like a shield. Typically, when they erupt, shield volcanoes are not violent and send lava out of the volcanic vent slowly. A geographic area where these are is in the Hawaiian island chain, especially the Big Island, which has three shield volcanoes, Mauna Lea, Mauna Kea, and Kilauea. Kilauea erupted continuously from 1983 to 2018 and has still been erupting on and off. While disruptive and responsible for property damage in these recent years, deaths and injuries have been minimal. The second area where volcanoes are is divergent plate boundaries. Divergent plate boundaries are where two tectonic plates separate and thus diverge. The most notable divergent plate boundary is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge System. It was created more than 200 million years ago when Pangaea, the last supercontinent, began rifting apart. The rifting created many geological creations, including the Watchung Mountains in New Jersey, which are composed of mafic igneous rocks such as basalt and gabbro. In other areas along the eastern seaboard of the United States, igneous rock mountains are common. Today, divergent plate boundaries feature mostly shale volcanoes, which, like hotspot mantle plume areas, are relatively sedate. However, some are very active and have caused disruptions, such as property damage. The third area where volcanoes are is at convergent plate boundaries, which are where two tectonic plates compress into each other, creating subduction, and that where a denser oceanic plate sinks below a less dense continental plate. This interaction creates two types of volcanoes: cinder cone volcanoes, which are short, steep eruptive volcanoes, which can also form in mantle plume areas in divergent plate boundary areas, and stratovolcanoes, very eruptive and violent volcanoes, which spew out pyroclastics, ash, and other debris. Most stratovolcanoes form at convergent plate boundaries and are regarded as being the most violent type. The reasons why are that they create widespread problems that not only directly affect the geographic area that they're in, but can indirectly cause other issues such as ash fallout thousands of miles away and possible climatic shifts. When lots of ash enter the atmosphere, it creates sulfur dioxide, which is converted into sulfate aerosols within the stratosphere, which reflects sunlight and could create a period of global cooling. So, which volcanoes are seen as the most dangerous in the world? A hint is that all of them are on convergent plate boundaries, and all of them are stratovolcanoes. Another thing is that the most dangerous ones aren't necessarily the most eruptive, and that danger can be associated with how close the volcano is to a heavily populated area. Mount St. Helens was mentioned before. Although this volcano is still active, it's not seen as one of the most dangerous in the world anymore, but one close by is. Mount Rainier is an active stratovolcano north of Mount St. Helens and around 50 miles southeast of Seattle. It's over 14,000 feet high and climatically cold throughout the year and covered with ice. Records indicate that the last major eruption was around 1450, over 570 years ago. This is concerning because volcanoes that are still active but haven't erupted have a greater probability of erupting in the near future. Since Mount Rainier is so large and broad, if it were to erupt violently, it would send lahars, simply volcanic mudflows, into the surrounding suburbs of Seattle. This would possibly lead to deaths of thousands of people and destroy vital transportation routes. Overall, a Mount Rainier eruption to the magnitude of a Mount St. Helens eruption will be much more disruptive. Also within North America is Popocatépetl, a stratovolcano 43 miles southeast of Mexico City, the sixth most populated urban metropolitan area in the world. Historically, Popocatépetl has erupted, with the most recent one being this past May, although it was a relatively small one. Since 1994, the volcano has been active, and there has been concern that a large eruption is imminent. If one were to occur, this could lead to severe consequences, including miles-high ash clouds, pyroclastic debris, and landslides that can reach Mexico City and the surrounding areas. South America is no stranger to volcanoes, and one that is of concern is Cotopaxi, a stratovolcano in Ecuador. At nearly 20,000 feet high, it's one of the highest volcanoes in the world. Also, Quito, the capital of Ecuador, is around 30 miles south of the volcano. This city, along with other urbanized areas in the periphery, is why Cotopaxi is worrying. The volcano has been erupting on and off since 2015 and has had an ongoing eruption since October 2022. A large-scale eruption will significantly affect the entire Quito metropolitan area, the most populated region in Ecuador. Heading overseas, the other side of the Ring of Fire has some dangerous volcanoes. One is the famous Mount Fuji, an active stratovolcano 60 miles southwest of Tokyo. This volcano hasn't erupted since 1707, and eruptions since then have been far and few between. When the 2011 Japanese earthquake and tsunami occurred, there was concern that this would wake up Mount Fuji. However, in the last decade, the volcano still hasn't erupted. But if Mount Fuji were to erupt violently, it can pose a huge threat to Japan. Since Japan is a small, compact country with 125 million people, the population density is high. This leads to millions of people living in close proximity to the volcano. A large-scale eruption could be potentially catastrophic to cities such as Shizuoka, Yokohama, and even Tokyo. The Tokyo metropolitan area has 37 million people. In 1883, Krakatoa, a stratovolcano in Indonesia, erupted. It is considered one of the most powerful eruptions in recent history, and a sound blast from it was heard as far as 3,000 miles away. It killed 36,000 people directly from the eruption and tsunami it generated, and a total of 120,000 people died worldwide, with the climatic effects from it which degraded agriculture. Today, Krakatoa is not an actively erupting volcano, but is still considered active by geologists, potentially prone to erupting in the future. Also, Indonesia is on an active subduction zone, and has many other stratovolcanoes that pose a threat directly to the nation. One of the most dangerous volcanoes isn't located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, but rather thousands of miles away in an area known as the Mediterranean Ring of Fire. It's Mount Vesuvius, a stratovolcano in southern Italy. It's regarded as the most dangerous volcano for a variety of reasons. First, it has a notorious history, as produced in the eruption of 79 AD, which destroyed the city of Pompeii and killed thousands of people instantly from pyroclastic flows. A scary geological artifact are bodies from the flows that were basically frozen in time and on display at local museums. After that eruption, there are many others, with the most recent deadly one being in 1906 with over 100 fatalities. Another reason Vesuvius is dangerous is the geomorphology of the area. Mount Vesuvius tops out over 4,000 feet, significantly higher than the surrounding urbanized and populated areas, which are all lower than 300 feet in elevation. If an eruption were to occur, this would likely lead to fast-moving lahars to go directly through heavily populated communities with limited time to escape. And the most important reason why Vesuvius poses a grave danger is its unique location. The volcano is right in the center of the Naples metropolitan area, an area of 4.2 million residents, equivalent to the Seattle metro area. Seattle does have its volcanic threats, but a volcano isn't located within a few miles of the city like in Naples' case. If Mount Vesuvius were to randomly reduce a massive eruption, this could result in the deaths of thousands of people directly. Italy is prepared for the situation, as it does frequently monitor the volcano for signs of impending eruptions, and there are evacuation plans in place if that were to occur. In the areas of active volcanoes, especially stratovolcanoes, there will always be eruptions. It's just part of the ever-changing geology of Earth. Preparedness is the only way to deal with the threat. Do you think that there are other volcanoes worldwide that are more dangerous than the ones I mentioned? If you can think of some, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much again for watching this episode. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home. Until next time.